for me, that first time in 2015 was like I was getting ready to end my life. Like I literally had my 1911 in my hand, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like the click is, um, I'm at rock. Like this is legitimately rock bottom. I'm going to end it now, or I need to make a change. And I committed to the change, which was the harder decision to do, but it was totally worth it because I'm still here today, and now I get to help other people, like walk that journey.
E todo mundo não é eu. Mexeu com quem tá quieto, então é simples. O palco é meu.
JTs and do
Sir,
the hard things
doing
t-shirt.
hard things, absolutely.
I like it. I like it. Resonates a lot with me, at least. So, Jay, you're a strategic coach, high performance go to guy. I had the fortunate experience of meeting you not too long ago. And, well, how's the year treating you so far?
So far it's been outstanding. It's been a lot of a lot of growth for me personally, and I love the work that I'm doing, working with other people to help them grow and achieve their goals. And so far things are going really good.
Oh, that's interesting to hear from someone that we will go to get help from you or experiences and hear that you all are also growing and still have space to grow. That's amazing. And I've been following Paula and the work you guys been doing, and wow, that see that firsthand. It's amazing. I can only tell you.
It's been an honor to work with Paula and to see her grow in such a short amount of time from a coaching perspective gives me a lot of
Yeah,
joy.
yeah.
And I just, you guys are growing together, which I think is, I love the couples that are working together and growing together and seeing your relationship just continue to blossom and what you guys are creating together. It just really, it just really reaffirms the work that I'm doing, that I'm on the right path, and that, it's just an honor and a joy for me personally.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing to hear. Yeah, and seeing those things firsthand, as I said, wow, it's incredible. And I want to start with the most recent thing, which I'm really curious, and I know you have a lot to say about it, which is your Machu Picchu journey. And I've been doing some hikings around Washington here as well. And in those hikings, I do a lot of reflection because I can see a lot of the business side that I'm doing and the hiking process. Yesterday or no, this weekend I was doing one here and it started really early and I was alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am kind of afraid of bears here. So I
Mm.
have what I call the possible bear scenario. And the things that I do to prevent that is okay, I'll prepare myself. I'll be cautious. I'll go slow because I know that eventually those are well known trails and eventually people are going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do with either Paulo or some friends, but if they're not available, yeah, that's another reflection. It's those kind of journeys that okay, I'll start. I won't just prevent myself and not doing anything because I couldn't find like a partner for that venture. So also that to me is kind of um, a business adventure or venture and adventure, right?
Yeah.
Um, not only sometimes it's lonely. No. Sometimes you are alone, not lonely. But you start, and if you prepare yourself and that possible bear scenario, at least if the bear shows up, I'll make noise or I don't know, whatever. But um, and the superpowers to me that I channel on those times are awareness and listen to my gut because you if you only stay worried on the trail, you will not enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of reflections that I do, and I see a lot of the business ventures that we do. So, to you, what was this Machu Picchu journey? And tell me more about it.
Yeah. For me personally, it was basically something that has been calling me for a very long time in a variety of different ways. So for me, there's a personal, a very deeply personal, spiritual aspect to the journey to Machu Picchu for me, and there's also a component of how I'm expanding my own coaching practice. And to preface, I think what you said was pretty profound. I think we need opportunities to be silent, to find opportunities to be with ourselves. And I think that a great way to do that is to be out in nature. And I think that we need adventure in our life. Like we live in a time where we have incredible abundance, and we kind of forget that we are human beings and we need that sense of adventure. So being able to go out onto a trail where you might face some type of unknown danger like a bear or weather or some other type of challenge, like I think that's good for the human spirit and the soul, in addition to just going out and being in nature and being with your own thoughts so you can think clearly and get those intuitions, get the the gut feeling that you mentioned, because those are the types of things that's going to improve your business. You're going to have a thought or insight that's going to enable you to solve a problem. For me personally, the Machu Picchu experience, it was a 6-day trek that we did to Machu Picchu, but it was a part of a coaching program. It was a 6-month coaching program for myself. And really, what I have been navigating, I've been doing performance coaching for it's been almost 6 years now, and it started when I was in the military. I was fit toward the tail end of my military career, and I'm trying to figure out, like, who am I as a person? Like, who am I? I joined the military when I was 17, and that was a big part of my identity from 17 to 27 years. And I, like many veterans or people in general that are going from they have a big life transformation, a life transition, whether it be a career, maybe your kids leave the nest. There's a lot, there's, people ending a relationship. There's a lot of, like, we all face like transitionary periods in our life. And so for me, this was a major life transition for me, and I wanted to figure out who I was. And the Machu Picchu trek for me was a spiritual awakening in so many different ways, because a part of that coaching program was really kind of going back and looking at my own things uh, that didn't go so well in my life. I've been divorced. I've had trauma from childhood, from an abusive father, from my military experience, being involved in war, and just other things that there's parts of me that I wanted to shine a light on to be a better person and to really figure out, like, what is my getting really clear on what my mission is next after the military. I'd been doing performance coaching, but I didn't know, like, what who was I going to serve? What's the modality? Like, there's still some questions that were, like, left unknown. But I've been feeling this calling to bring people to places like this, and I wanted to go experience it myself before I did that. So, like I said, it's two-part. Me trying to find myself and be better, be a better man, be better in my own relationships, be a better father, to be a better husband, and to really figure out, who I am after the military, and then how can I incorporate it into my own coaching practice. And so, yeah, I just got back actually about 4 weeks ago, and it was very impactful for me personally.
Wow, wow, amazing. Those bumps here. Um, I know from personal experience that when we look to shine light into dark corners that we don't know what's gonna come from that, it can be scary, but we know that we have to do it and we have to face it. And you have pretty powerful and big things that you wanted to address. That you mentioned, like the divorce, your father, war. War, I cannot even imagine because you know where I'm from, Brazil, and we barely touch these things there. Um, the military is not a big thing for us as well. So um, you you mentioned transformation. And to me, what I want to understand and get referrals from what people go through and their successes, which I believe we have successes every day and we have to you know, cherish and account for all for what happened, not only when things go wrong. And you point that, we are big here on every success. We okay, this is worth. Let's go and toast it. And really, yeah, we had some success. So the mindset and the transformation. Um, I think those are two big things. What's the mindset you had or you have now, and can you elaborate on the transformation you had from the army to now?
Yeah. So where do I begin on this? I came from a broken home. So I came from an abusive father. My mother was mentally ill. I was born here in the United States, and immediately after I was born, my father was German. My mother was from Holland. They immediately moved back to Germany, thinking they were going to create a life there. They had some challenges with finances and finding steady work, so they decided to move back to the United States. Just to give some context to my father, he grew up as a child during the very end of World War II. So I can't even imagine the amount of trauma that he underwent because he lost most of his family during World War II. Like all the men went off to fight and none of them came home. And then the women, it was basically sisters, aunts, like all the women kind of stayed together in the village to kind of, care for one another. And then toward the very end of the war, when the Russians were coming through to Berlin because they were vicinity of Berlin, they'd put the family on a truck. My father, who was just a child, I would say probably I think he was like 3 or 4 years old, was sitting in my grandma's lap at the very end of the truck. Truck came under attack. Grandma fell out with my father, and all the rest of the women perished in the truck. And so my father, as a child, like all of his family had disintegrated. They all were deceased in some way, shape, or form. And then growing up in war torn Berlin, like I can't even imagine the amount of trauma that he had. Ultimately, he found his way to the United States when he was 19, and he joined the army himself to gain citizenship. You could do that then, pretty easily, I guess. But he had demons. Like he had like my mother was his fourth marriage, and he was physically abusive to me and her, emotionally abusive, and just like all of his other relationships, that relationship ended where he met another woman and basically ran off with her. My mother was unable to take care of me by herself because of her mental health issues. And so I basically went with my father, with my new mom. And like all the other relationships, after a couple of years, that relationship didn't that ended, and I couldn't go back with my mother. So she adopted me essentially. So I was basically taken away from my family, and that's how I ultimately ended up in Missouri later, early in my life. And in all of that, like I just knew that things like life just didn't feel right. Like there was but I knew that there was going to be, I could make something of myself if maybe I joined the military. I just knew I needed to get out of the situation. This wasn't normal. I needed to get out of the situation. And when I was in high school, I had a paper route and I would mow yards and make money. So I was very entrepreneurial, very very young. Like my family was poor. I wanted money for Nintendo games and for my own school clothes. So I ran a paper route, and that was in Clarksville, Missouri. It's like the highest point on the Mississippi River. So there's this huge hill, and I would ride my bike 6 days a week, all throughout the year, even in the cold weather. It's like a hard thing to do every day. It was just, the temperatures in Missouri, we have all 4 seasons here. But a cross country coach was on the paper route, and he invited me to cross country. And I'm like, what is, I don't even know what cross country is. He's like, well, it's racing. We meet in these fields and we run against other teams in the fields. I'm like, it sounds crazy, but I'll do it. So I show up to practice, and because of my bicycle riding every day and all these conditions, doing that hard thing every day, I was actually pretty good. I had really good running fitness, and so that started my career into running at a very early age. I was actually really good. For the first time in my life, I had a male figure that looked out for me. I was part of a team. A lot of the cooler kids in my small school were there. So for the first time, I felt like I was a part of something. It felt really good to race and win and achieve. And I knew this was a good thing. And I'm like, you know what? If I just do this hard thing, my life will be better. It motivated me to keep my grades up. And that motivated me to bridge the gap to the military, which I joined as soon as I was able to. And that running fitness, I mean, in the military, like, you're tested on your ability to run. And that's that physical fitness and that discipline that I learned in cross country set me up for success right out the gate in the military. And I ran I kept running. I ran the Army 10 miler for a couple installations and just kept doing that. And I was able to get into some really tough schools that really enabled my career to get off to a really good start. And that mindset of just grit and discipline and being resilient, like, I didn't have a lot of, I was not very confident as a kid. I had a lot of challenges, but I had grit and I had discipline. And it was that grit and discipline and resilience that led to success in the military. And so the military was generally pretty easy. If you're a gritty person and you have resilience, they tell you where to be. They tell you, what you got to do, and you show up and you do your job and you do it well, and you'll get promoted. And I performed very well in the military. However, later in life, I had some challenges with communication. I didn't do very well in my relationships. I didn't. Although I was resilient, I didn't cope with things well. Like, I was resilient in the moment to endure. I could endure hardship, but outside of the hardship, like coming back from war, it's like, how do you process these things? It's when alcohol crept into my life. I didn't understand love languages. I didn't understand how to communicate my feelings with my wife. Long story short, that ended up in divorce. And in 2015, I had a period of, like, deep depression, and I had suicide ideation. I mean, it was pretty bad. This is right before I'd gotten divorced, but I had in that period, my wife and I had triplet daughters, and there's a lot of interesting stories along the way. But bottom line was, I had hit rock bottom, and I would have. It was so. I wanted to tap out. Like, it would just have been easier to do that. And a lot of my peers, I mean, we've lost so many people in the military due to it. But I knew that for the sake of my daughters, I did not want to leave my daughters without a father. And I knew that I had to work through this. And I decided right then and there that, you know what, my life was worth fighting for because of my daughters. And I had to rewire my brain. I had to rewire my thinking. Like, everything I like, my life wasn't working. It just simply was. Although I was successful in the military, I was just not at peace. I didn't have communication skills. I didn't know who I was. Like, I wanted to get out of the military because I'm like, this is just not. I mean, I love it, but it's just like, this is not. I'm over it. Like, the lifestyle at that point, over 20 years, like, I was really burnt out. So I decided to, get myself into therapy, which at the time in the culture, like, that was difficult because it was seen as weakness. And a lot of men in our society in general, like, you had to ask for help that you perceived as weak, and then definitely in the military. But I'm like, I have to do something because this isn't working. So I decided to commit to therapy. And then I also just started looking at people in my life, like, how are some people so happy and successful? Like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Because I had some people in my life that were high performing individuals, and it just seemed like success and happiness was, like, effortless for them. So I just studied these people, and some of them were military, some of them were outside the military. And I just picked up the phone and called them, and I just kind of wanted to have a conversation with them, take them to lunch, and just figure out, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And there were some commonalities. Many of them were very well read. Like, I didn't read many books, but they were very well read. And I noticed when I asked them, like, particular books that came to mind, it was like Think and Grow Rich was a common book, and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the Compound Effect, and the Slight Edge, and a few other books. And one of the very first books that I read was The Slight Edge, and I committed to reading it. And in the book, it's just about a guy that kind of same thing. He kind of hit rock bottom in his life, and he learned that the slight edge difference between the people that are successful and happy are really the daily habits that they do. It's the little things, the little disciplined things that are easy to do but easier not to do that make a difference. And I committed to reading like 10 pages a day. And it talks about that in the book. Like just doing something as simple as reading 10 pages a day can transform your life. And to be quite frank, it did, because that book led to another book, and it led to just, having more of an open mind. That led me down the path of getting involved in men's groups, mastermind groups. And it was so transformational for me that I decided to become a high performance coach, because like it changed my life. And I was a really good instructor and teacher in the military. And I'm like, this is probably just a good thing, a good thing to be able to do. Whether I make a career out of it or not, I don't know. But by being a teacher and assuming that role as a teacher, I was learning even more and more and more, and my life infinitely improved immensely. And so I became a coach toward the tail end of my military career, helping people. But if I'm quite honest, it was more about helping myself, and in that process of helping myself, I was able to help other people. And it felt really good to do that. But that's when the second, I would call it the second storm, when I left the military, because I had that rock bottom moment in 2015. But roughly, like 2 years ago, when I retired from the military, I left that identity. That same feeling came back again, like, well, who am I? What am I doing here? And I started having some dark thoughts again. I started going down that path of like darkness. But I had the tools. I had it because all of the years of learning from hitting rock bottom is like, okay, I need to implement these things. And I knew how to pull myself out of that when I started getting those dark thoughts again, going through that life transition. And so I've been doing some very, very deep work on myself over the last year and a half to figure out who I am and what I want to do. And because I had all those tools, and I tell people, like, as a coach, you got to eat your own dog food. Like good coaches, they not only are able to help other people, but they practice what they preach, and they're also doing the deep work themselves, because you can only take someone as far as that you've gone yourself. And so that's really been the journey for myself. Like there were a lot of things that I was really good at about being resilient, but what I learned is like I've been running away from my trauma versus facing it head on. And there were a lot of things in my communication and a lot of things in my the ego that I had. I had to drop some of the ego, because some of the things that were programmed into me at a very early age about be a man, you can't show weakness, all of these things. And then the things in the military that weren't quite serving me needed to come down so I could be a better father, to be a better husband, to be a better leader in my community, and to be a better coach. So that's kind of like the Cliff Notes version of the kind of the journey that I've been on. But yeah, it's been interesting.
Awesome, Jay. Awesome. I can resonate a lot with all most of those things. So, and let's say from now and what you said, we are experienced creatures.
Mm.
That's what you understood. I understand that you were doing that, because how can you say, hey, or I don't know, you go to personal instructor at the gym and the guy is fat. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. So we must. I believe that yes, we must face it so we can say to others, yeah, that totally makes sense. Also, another thing that I talked to Paula, because we are both in that journey of continuous evolve.
Mhm.
How can we make others happy if we are not happy,
Yes.
right? Um, and I would summarize what you just said, that your superpower is reinvent yourself, man. What amazing to see what you have done. You've been reinventing yourself, transforming to what you're looking for. Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
when I look back at my journey, I'm like, especially when I hit rock bottom and I wanted to tap out because it was, you get into that deep depressive state, like you're just not thinking clearly, you're not thinking right, and it's like the pain is so bad, and that's how you end up like thinking like, suicide might be the way out of this because it's going to stop. It's the only thing that might stop the pain. It's not normal thinking, like and it takes a lot of courage to face that and pull yourself out of that. And for someone listening to this, like they may not get to that extreme, but maybe you are. And just know that if you are, like you're not alone and that thinking is not right and you might need help. But because I've been to that edge and I've worked so hard to like climb my way out of it, like when I ask God, like why have I been on this journey? And I ultimately think it's because I've been able to walk that path, I know where people are at and I know how to walk them out of it. Because when I explain to people what I do as a coach, it's like we're climbing a mountain together. Like life is a big expedition. We're climbing a mountain, and sometimes you need a guide that understands the mountain. Like if you go to climb Mount Everest, right? There's a guide service there that's probably going to take you. They know what it takes to climb that mountain. You can surely attempt it on your own, but you might have a harder time. It might take you longer. There are some things that you're going to learn on the journey that you just didn't know. There might be some shortcuts or some key pieces of gear that you need that you just didn't know because you haven't been experienced. But that's what that guide is there for. It's like, you know what? I've got you. Like these are the things that I recommend for you. This is the way, and that's how I look at myself. Like I consider myself a transformational life coach, high performance coach, but my expertise is helping people find their identity, help them find their purpose, and get clear, and then clear up the past traumas and the deep programming that people have, the invisible chains that are holding people back because everybody has them, and many of that, all of those things are programmed at you generally from an early age throughout life, but a lot of it's like at an early age. And they get really clear about what your compelling future is and kind of guide someone to get there. And the only way that I could be really good at that is by having my own journey. There are people out there that will take your money and they will, I guess there's a lot of people in the industry that I would say are charlatans. They're not doing they're not leading by example, and I think it's really important for someone that's doing this type of work to be able to lead by example and have that experience. They're gonna to, yeah to truly help somebody.
yeah, definitely. And I know some cases, and I know that you might be fighting against that stigma of when the person hears coach. Oh yeah, another coach, but yeah, it's unfortunate. When I had
Yeah,
similar experience in the like 2 years back, not too long ago, in a dark place, um, I don't really remember what I did, but I think I just did one step at a time, and eventually I was out of the meds and progressing and
yeah,
looking my way. And then not long after that, I had a click, and I said, "Okay, no, this is not what uh, the way I want to go." So it's interesting. Have you ever had this click when okay, you're looking to do things differently, but there's a way that you're just fed up? I said, no, 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 no more. Have you ever had one of those?
yeah. I think that's where a lot of transformation happens for people. It's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this, and I'm ready to change because some people will endure a lot before they're like, you know what? I'm ready for change. Like I need to make a change. For me, that first time in 2015 was like I was getting ready to end my life. Like I literally had my 1911 in my hand, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like the click is, um, I mean, I'm at rock. Like this is legitimately rock bottom. I'm going to end it now, or I need to make a change. And I committed to the change, which was the harder decision to do, but it was totally worth it because I'm still here today, and now I get to help other people, like walk that journey. And I think for most people, like it's interesting as a transformation coach that I tell people this is like usually the transformation happens when someone like commits to the coaching process in that moment. It's like when they swipe the credit card, that's the moment of like true change, because that's when they've made the commitment. Like, you know what? I'm betting on myself. And most of the transformation happens in that very moment. Then the work, I mean, the work is easy because they're like leaning into it. It's the ultimate commitment of like, you know what? I'm going to lean in on this program, and this is what I'm going to do. And but people will endure a lot before they make that level of commitment for whatever reason.
Yeah, indeed. It's always the first step. And I don't know, people don't understand that. Um, what I can think of now is when I say, "Oh, I did," we talked about it. I did an Ironman triathlon. Oh, that's too much. I say, no, no, no. Yeah, it is, but anyone can do it. You just don't think what I'm doing now, but I've been doing this for a while. If you do the first step, you can also do that in, let's say, a year.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but they are some people are really resistant on getting the first step,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a shame because I honestly would like that everybody could experience at least a half Ironman, the feeling of what's finishing something like that. After that, if you haven't felt like you can do anything, I'm sure you will uh,
Yeah.
feel that you can do anything.
There's a concept called Misogi. Are you familiar with it?
Uh, no, I'm not.
It's a Japanese term, and what I realized is that I've been doing these misogis for years and not realizing what it was. But a misogi is a Japanese term for, it's like spiritual transformation. It's choosing to do something very, very difficult that will change you in the process of doing it. That's why I think like Iron Man is so popular, is because when people commit to it, you change in that process. And when you actually cross the finish line, like the level of fulfillment that you get for doing something tremendously hard is immeasurable. And it's not just the race itself, it's all of the long hours of training that you're doing. That's the hard part. Like race day is like actually like one of the easiest things to
It
do.
is the easiest, yeah.
It's the day after day after day grinding when no one is watching, when it's just you pulling yourself out of bed to do this thing. And in that process, you become a different person. That's
Yes.
why they're so powerful to do that. And they come in a variety of different ways. It's why people climb mountains. It's why people, they'll run their first 5K and that leads to a marathon. That's why people do all these, like you hear about these people doing this just extreme adventures. And it's because people it's the sense of fulfillment and the sense of change that they go through the process. And that's the ancient term of misogi. That's what they did in the Japanese
Oh,
culture. I just didn't
interesting.
know it was called anything, but I'm like, I've been
So,
doing that form of spiritual purification. Because when I'm out in nature or I'm doing something difficult like that, I get connected to myself. I get connected to God. I get connected in my thoughts. Like so many great things happen, um, and so I think it's important to find something that's going to challenge you like that.
yeah, it
Hence,
is.
going to Machu Picchu for me was a misogi. It was a spiritual walk for me. It was very, to really get connected with myself, to get in Peru is a very spiritual place. Machu Picchu is a very spiritual uh, place. In fact, I got this Inca cross. It was made by a shaman, and we had a Pachamama ceremony before we started the trek. And it was really powerful, like a 90-minute ceremony where everyone got to set their intention, and he prayed over our journey, and you could feel the spirit of everything as you're going through this journey. And then to end at Machu Picchu, which is like one of the most beautiful. There's a reason it's one of the seven wonders of the world. It's so remote. It's so incredibly beautiful. You feel like the spirit of something higher when you're there. And I think it's important for us as humans to undergo things like that.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to grasp. It's one of those things that you have to experience. I gotta go back
Yeah.
to that point. Yeah, it's hard to grasp. Wow. I even thought my loss of uh, my thought process now. I was trying to envision you and trying to feel it. Uh, wow. Uh,
But
crazy.
yeah, I just think that I guess the bottom line is there's a lot of people hurting out there. There's a lot of people that are trying to achieve I think ultimately what people are looking for is they're looking for freedom, and it comes in a variety of different ways. They're looking for freedom of financial abundance. They're looking for freedom of health to live good, healthy lives. People are seeking, freedom in their relationships to have good, toxic-free relationships that are deeply connected. I think people are looking for freedom of time and freedom of experience. And there's also in our society, there's this heavy pressure to keep up with everyone else. And so people are really sacrificing a lot to achieve these freedoms and are losing themselves in the process. So when I work with entrepreneurs, what I tell them is look, what we're trying to achieve is peace on this journey of whatever it is that you're trying to seek. Because people that are on the entrepreneurial journal are looking for time freedom, financial freedom, so they can live their life on their terms. But a lot of people will get on this hamster wheel of sacrificing so much in the pursuit of it, and then they get caught in the trap of, well, nothing is ever enough because I'm trying to keep up with everyone else who's ahead of me, and you'll never find peace. And so what I'm trying to do is help people find peace in the process. Happiness can only be found in the present moment. So how do we get to a peaceful existence now while you're on this journey? Being committed to the goals that you've set, but to not be attached to it, because if you don't achieve the goal and it wrecks your peace, then what are we doing? You're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? So it's finding peace on this journey. How do we find and maintain happiness now? So the profits that you make fuel your life, not the other way around, right? So that's an important distinction that as I work with people, especially in the entrepreneur space, whether it be multifamily investors, is to find peace now, because we deserve a life of happiness. And ultimately, that's what I've been looking for most of my life. I was just unsettled. I was not happy. I was doing these things trying to seek happiness, but happiness comes from within. And the work that you need to do is everything is inside of you. It's here. Instead of looking out there, it's all within.
It is. It is. We always, one thing important to me, I learned is reference, because, and there's a lot of options. You mentioned multifamily. If you go only on multifamily, there's a lot of options. It's hard in the beginning to lock on what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like hiking, there is a trail, but sometimes the trail widens, and there's point A to point B, but I'm interested in knowing the struggles that we are facing during this journey, because sometimes we only see point B. And like you said, the success people, well, what you doing? Yeah, we only see that, but what happens before? What colors? What's changed? So I think that's really powerful and important. And again, listen to you. Like you said, listen to your gut. Uh, yeah, because, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that sums up.
When I think of listening to your gut, what I hear from that, I think I've been a spiritual person throughout my life, but this last year I'm probably been more connected to God than ever. And when I think of listening to your gut, I think that's how God speaks to us. I think that getting those intuition, getting that gut instinct, I think that is how the higher power, universe, speaks to us. Because when I lean into that, when I've surrendered to that, usually good things happen from that.
Yes.
And the more that you are in stillness, this is why I think mindfulness is so powerful. This is why 90% of the world's highest performing people have some type of mindfulness routine, is because in that stillness, you get connected and you are able to solve problems, and you're able to clear out the mental clutter and really get connected. And that connection, this is my opinion, I think it's a connection to God. This is where I get those problems are solved, or I'll have just a calling to do something. And when I lean into that, almost every time, there's usually a good outcome.
Yeah.
But we live in such a fast-paced world where we're consuming so much information. We are working so hard. We don't have stillness. and usually when I work with a client, that's usually one of the first things that we focus on is finding opportunities to slow down, to pick up a pen and just be able to write, to be in silence with yourself, to get outside in nature, to get more energy in your body. But in doing that, I think you tap into that gut instinct that you were talking to. That, and I think to me personally, that I think it's God. I think that's how we connect.
It is. It is. It's a positive, good energy that
Yeah,
if you can feel it again, if you make yourself happy, you'll have that, and you'll throw that in the universe. And yeah, I do
yeah.
believe that as well. Um, and you were saying, and I lost. Oh, because of what you just said, I I learned to listen myself, and every day I feel like, okay, now I need to stop a bit between all the meetings and everything going on, and the mind that never stops. I try to stop and stare outside at nothing. Um, I try to do that. I think I do it every day. I don't know, but at least I learned that to listen to myself again, and okay, I need to stop now. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I need some pen and paper. I can do things on the computer, but sometimes I need a pen and a paper to note it. Like now we're talking, and I need a paper. Um, and my first hike here in Washington, well, I have one 4,000 something feet mountain right in front of me. And
Hi.
after 3 years or no 2 years and something, I have never climbed. And then I was having that calling, and I told Paul, no, I'm gonna do that next weekend. I need to do that. And yeah, it to me was intense because I did it in my own rhythm. I did it alone, but it was to me answering that calling. When I got there, I was able to just sit down, enjoy the view. So
What did you get from that? Did you did anything particular? Did you get like a you were called? You did it? Did you get anything from that?
business ideas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was just answering the call, but I allow myself to enjoy and look around, and uh, I know that it's when things click in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, business ideas, and even for this space here. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, being able to get outside, I mean, good for you for just kind of like leaning into it and going for it. And like you said, you get outside, you get into nature, you're out in peace, you get like great ideas. And some of these ideas can change your life. They can change the trajectory of your life. And that's what most of us need is we need, that's one of the things I noticed when I was down in Machu Picchu, like the Peruvian people that are living there, like they're just, they, there's just a different energy there because they're just not running at the same pace of life that we are, like with all the consumerism and working ourselves so hard. Like they just have a peace about them. And what I noticed was I wasn't plugged into the news. I wasn't plugged into like, the amount of marketing that we get in this society, like just this constant drumbeat of buy this, the news, all doom and gloom, like it wasn't there. So being unplugged, and then I didn't have my cell phone with me on the trek except for like one time, but it was just so nice to be at peace, just to be out there in nature and being around those people that were just even keel. Like I don't know, it filled my soul. Like it was so good, and we need more of that, especially Americans, people that are living in this country, because that frequency of like doom and gloom and news and consumption is so high, and that's a big thing. It's a big aspect of my coaching. If I can just get people to slow down, they start to become happier.
yeah, yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree.
Less is
And man,
more.
and man, now I can see why your, if I can say, slogan, "Do hard things." You've been doing hard things since ever.
Yeah.
So I think you really captured, and it's really great. And what's next now for Jay?
Well, I'm writing. The book is almost done. We'll be launching the book in August, and the book is Life on Offense, Do Hard Things, and it's about living a life on offense versus defense. It's living a life of intention and purpose instead of by default. And the hard actually are the four pillars of your life. So there's a little framework that goes with it. It's your health and wellness, it's your affluence, it's your relationships and development. And health is broken down: mental health and physical health. But you should be doing something every day that's improving your mental health and your physical health. You should be doing something every day that's leading to financial abundance, because financial abundance, it's not about the money, it's about the freedom that comes with it. So you have more options. Relationships, like being able to properly communicate with people, to establish proper boundaries, to clear up, when you step on your word, clear up so you have relationships that are fulfilling. Our greatest human desire is to be loved and appreciated. And so we need good relationships in our life, and that's part of this human experience. People feel so tremendously lonely now, but we need good, healthy relationships. And then development. I truly believe that if you're not growing, then you're dying. I think it's a Tony Robbins quote: "If you're not growing, you're dying." So development is about like this pursuit of knowledge, and it comes in a variety of different forms. It can be in your hobby. It could be something that's going to lead to wealth creation. And also, like, having experience falls into that bucket. I think we as humans need experience. You develop when you have life experiences. So what I teach is, like, you should be doing something every day in those four buckets. And the book it's co-written by an Army friend of mine. We share a bunch of different stories of things that we have overcome, lessons learned, and there are a lot of books in the personal growth and development space that are very theoretical. We actually put, like, every chapter has like a set of like our top tactics, if you will, like these are like aha moments or just lessons learned that if I would have had this knowledge 20 years ago, my life would have been better. And then at the end of each chapter is like a series of like books, like our references or like our go-to books on that particular topic. And so when I was down in Peru, as soon as I was done with that trek, I went down to Buenos Aires because that's where my friend lives. We recorded the Audible version of the book. We're doing a final edit, and it'll be released in August. I'm sorry, July. And yeah, and then from there, now that I'm back from my trip, I am fully like, I want to create a community around the do hard things concept. And so that's what I'm going to be working toward. We're going to be doing more, speaking opportunities, really promoting the book and creating a community really around mindset and movement. So create like a virtual gym or dojo, if you will, where people can get like various training plans if they want for their physical body. There'll be like monthly challenges, like, doing like a 72-hour fast or maybe an ice bath or something that challenges you, right? And then the high performance mindset topics and bringing in guest speakers. So that's what I'm currently working on. Oh, in addition to creating some amazing treks, like I want to take a group of people to Mount Kilimanjaro next year, and then Machu Picchu. So there'll be two treks that we take people on next year.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'll follow that. The book really talks to me. I'm looking for it, but I'll listen. I'm a slow reader, so I prefer to listen.
Well, I think the audiobook's going to turn out pretty good because I think it's important for the author to read the audiobook.
Yeah.
And a lot of audiobooks they're kind of mundane and boring. And I'm like, if we're going to make an audiobook, it's got to sound pretty good. So we did the best that we could to talk with emotion and kind of add some things in there to make it sound like better. But I'll be honest, reading a book out loud, well, one, I didn't realize how difficult that was. That was actually pretty challenging. But I think it's going to turn out really well. Like I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. So I really hope that the stories and the lessons really resonate with people.
Yeah, thanks for that. I really like when the author reads the book because I think it adds something, some character. I don't know
Yeah,
to it.
yeah,
So thanks a lot for that. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, man. So I have some things here that um, it's like trying to pick your mind and gauge your life. So I
Sure.
have some questions here that
Let's do it.
I learned from some reading that I've been doing, a book that Paula gave me, and I liked it a lot. So check this. What would you do today to accomplish in 1 year what you have built your entire life?
Hmm. So can you ask the question one more time?
Yes. What would you do today to accomplish in 1 year what you have built your entire life?
I think that people elongate projects much longer than they need to be. And I think it's getting really crystal clear on what it is that you want. And less is more, because when you do less, you can be more focused. And I tell people that they need laser focus, not flashlight focus. Most of us are doing way too many projects, and it takes a lot of energy to keep up with them all, and it takes longer to accomplish them. And what I teach, and this is what I've learned from the High Performance Academy, is no more than 3 major projects at a time, and get really laser focused on those projects, and then figure out what outsource as much of the tasks as possible to other people that are better than you in accomplishing those tasks. And so getting a team of people together that can do the things that you're not very good at, or do the things that are just, you need to stay in your zone of genius. And sometimes we just need to put our ego aside and let other people come in and do the things that we're not good at. So that's helped me get through projects a lot faster. There's also something like concept of like doing a 30-day sprint where you just focus on one project and you just spend all of your time and energy available just on that one singular task to get that thing done. And when you do that, you can accelerate, the process. And so that's number one. There's a great book on the topic called The 12-Week Year that really, really reinforces and gives like a step-by-step framework of how to do that, because people will have a goal, and then what happens is they won't achieve the goal for some reason, and then they throw the goal away and pick a new one. Well, what the book teaches, what Brian Moran teaches, is instead of like changing the goal if you're falling short, you really need to identify the tactics that you're using to achieve the goal. And if you're not achieving the goal in the desired time, change the tactics or modify the tactics before you change the goal. There's a reason you chose that goal, but people will like get discouraged and they want to throw it out. And there's a cycle that people will go through, and they get used to doing that. When really all they need to do is with intense focus and consistency, achieve it or change the tactic until they achieve the goal. So that's it. Less is more. Work smarter, not harder. Less is more.
Nice. I like it. So yeah, you focus. No, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah. I think
When
I'm
you
doing the
achieve
right.
it, you alluded to this earlier in the call, like celebrate your successes. I know for the longest time, especially in the culture of the military, we never stopped to like really like pat ourselves on the back and celebrate our wins, right? And we need to do that more. That's how you enjoy the fulfillment of doing that challenging thing, and just revel in it, like and just pat yourself on the back for doing a good job, because we need that. That's how you achieve happiness.
Yes. Yes, it is amazing. It is. What's your version of success? Was it always like that? What changed?
Oh, my version of success, I think it's changed. I success to me is finding peace. That's where I'm at now. Like finding peace and maintaining peace. I have changed my outlook in so many ways. I used to be so driven with like money or like achieving something. Like, so I'll speak to this. For the longest time, I got into endurance racing, and I would sign up for the hardest things. And it was almost like, I guess over time, I got a little burnt out with it. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? And
I did the same.
yeah. And what I started to notice was like, it was kind of fueling my ego. Like, I was doing these hard things because that's what everyone else kind of expected of me. And it was a way for me to beat my chest, like I did this big race or whatever, and I achieved it. But then at the end of it, I was like, huh, I'm like, it's not as fulfilling as it used to be, like the first few times. Why am I doing this? Well, I've got this brand new hard things, and I've got to do this. Like, this is, people look at me like I'm the guy that does these things. And it wasn't delivering peace to me. I really had to kind of like have a moment of like, well, what is going on here? And I still love racing, but I don't do them as, because I would be out every weekend doing something or training for something and doing it over and over again. And just kind of what I realized was when you train with intensity like that, it can add stress to you because it spikes your cortisol, and it can actually be a little bit harmful to you as well. And I wasn't finding peace in it as much as I used to anymore. And so I have learned to be a little bit more disciplined about the races that I choose to do, because I still enjoy it. But like I always ask, like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I want to do this particular one? I'm not just doing it just to beat my chest anymore to fuel my ego. I'm doing it because it's a location, or it's just something on my. I'm very clear about the my bucket list of achievements that I want to accomplish, because it wasn't bringing me peace. And I love what I learned was people that have trauma it can be a form of escapism. I traded alcohol and other bad habits to do endurance racing, and it was really just another form of escape. It was just, instead of drinking, I was running all the time, running away from my problems.
Yeah.
Because when I was done training, like my problems would come back, and a lot of people that have trauma will do that. And that's why I think like David Goggins and the Can't Hurt Me, like, wonderful book, very inspiring guy. But what I learned is that guy's really running from demons. That's the story, right? I found myself doing the same thing, and I wasn't addressing the demons. And in doing so, I found more peace. And I don't know where I'm going with all of that, but I guess to say that if you are an endurance athlete and that's like, and you have trauma and you think be cautious, because you might be trading one bad habit for another, and it's not leading to peace.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I was self-inflicting in myself. And in therapy, I found out, because I started therapy saying, no, yeah, I can do anything. I like it. I like to suffer. And then through the process, I realized that I was not giving compassion.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was doing the same thing. I
Yeah.
still enjoy. I will still do, but I have other things now, and yeah.
Yes. I think that's the hero's journey of a lot of endurance athletes, is like, why am I doing this? And it's usually to outrun trauma, and it feels good at first because it's something new. It feels great, and
Yeah.
the achievement of fulfillment. But then eventually it's like, okay, I'm still not, like, there's still like something, there's a void in my life. There's something I'm not addressing. So to go back to your question, what is peace, or what is success? It's a peaceful and happy life where I'm contributing as a leader to make others better. I have the freedom to live life on my own terms, and being connected to God. I mean, those are, to me, that's what success is for me now, and maintaining that, just maintaining my freedom, maintaining my connection to God, and being there for my family, just having a happy, healthy family, and being a leader in the community. Like that is it. And it's changed because I thought that happiness would come from achieving a certain amount of money, or happiness would be achieving these specific things. And what I learned in the process of that, like I still wasn't finding happiness or peace. My peace comes from connection to God, my relationships, and then my freedom to do the work that God's designed for me to do. So,
Wow. Like it.
and that's a very recent epiphany, if I'm honest. Like, that's been it's been the journey, but to truly achieve it, like, I think that's a fairly recent thing for me.
Yeah. No, I understand. When we look intentionally to continuously develop ourselves, we are always changing, and we have these eureka moments. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yes.
What would you put on a billboard?
Do hard things.
I knew it.
Do hard things, it's not just, and this is where I guess I want to say, like, doing hard things is not just physical things. It's like It's being able to have the tough conversation. It's being able to stand up for the weak. It's doing the hard thing that takes a little bit of like courage, because I think that's usually where 9 times out of 10 like good things will come from that. It's 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 doing the little things, like the little disciplined habits, like not hitting the snooze button and choosing to get up out of bed in the morning. It's choosing to have the tough conversation with your wife because something's bothering you and you have the courage to bring it to her attention immediately. It's like I said, it's the things that are easy to do but easier not to do. It's like choosing to meditate and sitting in silence, doing nothing. Like that is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, all of those things. So it's not just like going out and running an Ironman, although those things I think are good for you. It's but doing hard things is like the little things too. It's having courage, living a life of courage. So do hard
Yeah.
things.
Yes. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, but you still
Mhm.
want to do it, or you're thinking on do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
hard things.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I think you mentioned some of those, but any materials that you would recommend, books, podcasts, or anything for us to continue developing ourselves, other than, of course, getting in contact with you. But
Yeah. I think. I mean, I have kind of hit pause on my podcast, but I'm relaunching it soon. And so it's the Do Hard Things podcast. There's over 200 episodes, and I've got my book coming out. But additional resources that I find useful. I really love the Sean Ryan podcast. I think that's a fairly new podcast. It's one of my favorites. I love anything from Tim Ferriss. Books that come to mind: the Think and Grow Rich. The Slight Edge was a really powerful book for me. Um, I mean, I know it, I think the Bible is um, the ultimate personal development book. So many great resources out there. Those are some books and resources that come to mind that are some of my personal favorites.
good. I'll check it. I'll check this light edge. I didn't know that one. Yeah,
Which one?
that's this light edge. I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I'm
Slight
gonna
Edge.
check
Yep.
it. Yeah, and Paul is on a journey to I don't know
Yeah,
read that many books, so I think she'll like it as well.
yeah. No, it's a really good read. It was the first book that I read on my journey, and it changed my life. And it's a quick, easy read, and it's all about the little things. The Slight Edge difference between those that are happy and successful are the little things that you do each and every day.
Good, Jay.
Oh,
Any
High
last
Performance
thoughts?
Habits. That's another great book. That's a modality in which I'm trained on. High Performance Habits.
High
Brendon
performance
Sharp.
habits. Okay, okay. High performance habits. Great, great. Any last thoughts, Jay? Want to share
I got a
anything?
question for you. Like, what is your outlook for the podcast here? What are your plans going forward?
My plans going forward. I started this as, like you mentioned, that you had communication problems. I identified that to me as well. Through therapy, I found that since when I was young, I always liked to communicate.
Yeah.
But because of trauma and other things, I understand that I had layers that I put myself to protect, and
Mm.
that through my adult life was causing some noise in my head.
Mm.
And a lot of times I had problems either personally or anything to voice it or to put it out. So from that and wanting to do something for myself, and also growing up, my self-esteem, I had the grit, I had the resilience, I always had, but I didn't. I believed in myself to a certain point, and my self esteem was not always there. Um, so to me, doing this is putting all that together and doing hard things and
Mm.
communicating and as reference, because I understand that we need reference to reach the things that we want to, but not always I had those. So bringing people here, understanding their struggles, understanding their paths, how they overcome their mindset. That's what I'm looking for here, because I
Mm.
believe we all have valuable things to share. Uh, and since we are here, we are already successful. So that's what I'm aiming for here.
Well, I think it's awesome to have the courage to face that, to create a platform that's going to be useful for other people. And I think you're right. I think as men, and we need to be able to put our armor down. That's what I like. For the longest time, I was the same way. Like I a lot of my sadness in my life was because I had so much love for people, but I just had my armor. I wouldn't let people in because I'm a
Yeah,
warrior. And I'm like I just had this but you got to be able to put your armor down and put yourself in a position where you can be open and communicate. And I love that you're facing that and you're doing this. So
I
stay
am.
right
And to me, having when I prepared the channel and having my name there as someone that I don't know who is this guy, but that's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build myself. I'm trying to
there.
build this and bring something valuable. And the armor, as you mentioned, if you ask Paula, my family, I was known as the general because it's like I was cold and I had no feelings. So
Yeah.
it's just funny, but yeah, it is. But I'm facing. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, and I can tell you that part of that was this move from Brazil to here.
Mm,
I don't think if I was there, I would be doing this today. So I've been
mm,
learning a lot with our American friends here and everything that we've been building
yeah.
to believe more in ourselves. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's a cultural thing or it was just me because everything I faced there, but um, yeah,
Well, it's amazing to see the journey that you and Paula have been on, and the fact that you are doing this together. I'm just, I'm just cheering you guys on, and it's just so cool to see the change in both of you on this journey for the better. Like you just power couple, just improving and creating, living life on offense, like living life by design.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I love that for you
I
guys.
agree. I agree, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Jay, ever since I had this idea, I wanted to bring you here. So it really means a lot that you were up to it. Uh, it was beyond what I expected. So thanks a lot, man. Thanks a
Well,
lot.
I'm truly honored, and if there's anything that I can do for you or Paula, I'm always here, and I just appreciate the opportunity, uh, and for you to think of me enough to come on here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Thanks a bunch, and do hard things.
Do hard things. We'll keep doing that.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take care.
Take care.
O palco meu teu, no palco meu teu. Que é a vida, noite após noite, dia após dia. Caiu, levando e vai em frente. Sai do passado porque a vida é um presente. Construa o seu muro, reforce o seu futuro. Abraçando os amigos, amando, deixando legado. Não esquecendo dos inimigos. Braço curto e até mesmo os encostados. Segue alerta para quem está agora do seu lado. Larga a mão de ser cansada, dualidade, antagonismo. A crueldade está no mesmo organismo. É o amor que se esvai, a rotina que dói. Sorrateiro, coração que desfaz e corrói. Pense na árvore que é alta e imponente. Sofre com o vento, enverga, fica impotente. Saudável não quebra desde criança. É o que vem na minha primeira lembrança. Com chuva ou sol, no sorte do farol. Frio ou calor, prossegue com ardor. Segue sólido e focado em seu caminho em direção ao céu. A vida é um sopro.